New Jersey gun laws are some of the strictest in the country, and if you're charged with a firearms offense in New Jersey, you're facing a felony conviction and mandatory prison time. And unfortunately, many gun charges leveled in New Jersey are against out-of-staters who are simply traveling through the state with their firearm. I'm Daniel Rosenberg, and I'm a criminal defense attorney and the founding partner of Rosenberg, Perry & Associates. And we help people defend against the charges and consequences that flow from illegally possessing firearms in the state of New Jersey. If you or someone you know owns or possesses a firearm in the state of New Jersey, or you know someone from out of state who's going to be traveling through the state of New Jersey, here's what you need to know about New Jersey gun laws. New Jersey gun laws are extremely harsh. If you are charged with a firearms offense, it is going to be a felony charge. And typically, it's a crime of the second degree. If you're in New Jersey and you are charged with a crime of the second degree, you're exposed to between 5 and 10 years in New Jersey State Prison. In addition, if you're charged with a crime of the second degree, there is a presumption of incarceration, which means if you are convicted, you are going to prison, it's just a matter of how long. In addition, firearms charges are subject to what's called the Graves Act. That's a specific statute that applies only to gun laws and requires a specified period of parole ineligibility. For instance, the Graves Act requires a 3.5-year period of parole ineligibility on a conviction. What that means is if you are sentenced to a 5-year term, the first 3.5 years must be served before you are eligible for parole. So now that you know how significant the consequences can be, you need to be aware of what New Jersey gun laws are. New Jersey gun laws are extremely complicated. They have lots of nuances, lots of exceptions, and the specifics of your situation matters. For instance, if you're inside your home possessing a firearm, you may be lawfully able to possess that. But as soon as you step outside or walk down the street, that becomes an illegal firearm. So these details and nuances all matter. So you should really be speaking to an attorney about your specific situation. But that being said, here are things that everyone should be aware of. Here are 3 aspects of the New Jersey gun laws that everyone needs to know to stay out of trouble. First, out-of-state permits are not honored in New Jersey. If you have a permit to carry out of state and you drive into New Jersey, you're in violation of New Jersey law. Number 2, if you're in New Jersey and you want to carry a firearm in public, you must apply for and obtain a permit to carry. And obtaining a permit to carry in New Jersey has become much easier in light of a recent United States Supreme Court case. But the third point is what gets most people caught up in the criminal justice system. And that is if you're a New Jersey resident and you're traveling throughout the state with your lawful firearm in your car. There are very specific requirements on how you can travel with it, where it's being held, where the ammunition is supposed to be. These are things you want to be talking to your attorney about because the facts and circumstances matter. For instance, if you're traveling lawfully from one location where you can possess a firearm to another location where you can lawfully possess a firearm, that's a factor that's going to affect whether or not your conduct is lawful or in violation of the law. So it's important that you speak to an attorney about your specific situation so you can make sure that you are complying with the law and don't get jammed up. To put this into context, our office had a client who was a Pennsylvania resident who drove over to New Jersey for the purpose of getting gas. Now, New Jersey historically has lower gas prices, so Pennsylvania residents will commonly come over, get gas, and go back. Our client was no different. He was pulled over for a routine traffic stop and complied with New Jersey law, which is that he disclosed to the law enforcement officer that he had a firearm in his vehicle. At that time, he presented all of his credentials. One of them was a permit to carry concealed in the state of Pennsylvania. He even showed the law enforcement officer where, in his glove compartment, his firearm was located. Even though he was compliant with New Jersey state law and disclosing this information to law enforcement, even though he had a permit to carry in the state of Pennsylvania, he was still in violation of New Jersey law. He was arrested and charged with a crime of the second degree and was facing 5 to 10 years in state prison with a 3.5-year parole ineligibility. So where do we go from there? We determine what the best defense strategy is in this given situation. Our client had no prior convictions and no prior arrests in New Jersey or any other state. In addition, had he been traveling in Pennsylvania, the manner in which he was transporting his firearm in his car was legal in Pennsylvania, but it was illegal in New Jersey. All of these factors, along with others, made him an ideal candidate for the pretrial intervention program. The pretrial intervention program is a diversionary program that was not available to individuals charged with gun offenses until recent years. In order to get into that program, we needed the consent of the prosecutor. We also needed to file legal documents called a statement of compelling reasons, which essentially made the argument for why our client was an ideal candidate for pretrial intervention. He entered the program, successfully completed the program, and all the charges were dismissed. Now, after he waits an appropriate period of time, he will be able to expunge his record, which means at some point in the future, his record will be clean. What's more, when someone asks him in the future, have you ever been arrested, he can lawfully say no, because that's what expunging your record means. These types of cases are common across the state of New Jersey, and they happen every day. So if you or someone you know have any questions about gun laws, contact our office. We'll take the time we need to go over your case, give you your options, and we do it all free of charge. We are criminal trial attorneys. We have your back. That's what we do.